All right, we going. Is that about? Okay, sure. Right there, quarters on plate.
Hey, thank you for being here. Of course, I can have absolutely.
I want to personally thank all of you all for coming out this evening in the rain and doing that rain and that cold. So thank you all for coming out. We're about to start our open session board meeting for December 18th, 2022. Shay, may I have a call to order, a roll call vote to establish a quorum?
Yes, Mr. Holt? Here. Ms. Oswald? Here. Ms. Morrill?
Here.
Ms. Lane? Here. Mr. Harsley? And Dr. Coleman?
May I have a motion to approve the agenda? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We will now move to item 3, Riverview Excellence.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board members, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues and community. Today for Riverview Excellence, we want to recognize Dr. LaShonda Johnson from Coke Elementary. And we are recognizing Dr. Johnson. She recently earned her doctorate in educational leadership from Maryville University. For those of you who know Dr. Johnson, she is a graduate at Riverview Gardens High School. And she has been in the district for 14 years. So we just want to recognize her for her commitment to education.
Dr. Johnson, do you want to have anything to say?
Dr. Johnson is the best!
Are there any announcements at this time? Thank you. We will then move to our Riverview Gardens Student Representative report.
Okay. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, scholars in the community. In intro, high school students began their first final exams this week, so we are encouraging them to strive to their best ability. Also, middle and elementary students will be working hard to finish their semester as well. As a result, I would love to encourage all students to keep striving and complete their semester strong. Secondly, the boys and girls basketball season at our school has been at a start, so we welcome family, friends, and community to come out and support our scholars. At Westview Middle School, all students are engaged in Spirit Week this week. Yesterday, scholars participated in Twin Day. Today, students participated in TikTok Tuesday. And they have many more full of activities ahead of them before break. Students at the high school last Saturday completed their ACT, and my hope is just to wish them all well. Second, just encouraging students to take respectfulness and mindfulness seriously in every encounter that they may have, elementary, middle, and high. Thank you. This is my report.
I want to apologize. I did skip over by accident the patron participation. We did have one parent who wanted to speak before the board, but I wanted to say that at our board meetings, we are not address issues that are involving specific students. So what I would like to do is ask that the parent that submitted this to us reach out to the school principal, and then you can also reach out to Dr. Tanya Patton or either Dr. Joy Lynn Pruitt Adams to address this issue. I didn't want to make you think that we don't take it important. We really do, but we cannot address something specifically about a student. So we'll make sure that this is you are contacted in this. Okay. We will now go to the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. There we go. Good evening, everyone. First of all, it is awesome to see so many people in the room. We're a little nervous that people weren't going to show up tonight for this critical conversation. So thank you for coming out. Tonight's agenda we'll kind of go through when it's time for the town hall session. We do have some information, some board work that we have to do prior to that. But I do have one announcement that there are 3 seats open for our Board of Education. The filing window is open at this point in time. It closes on December 28th. If there's anyone in this room, or if there's anyone that you know who has an interest in serving on the board in helping us create the new view on the horizon. Please encourage them to go to the Board of Election Commissions and file prior to December the 28th. The election will be in April, and the swearing in happens 14 days after the election. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you. We will now go to item 8, which is an item for discussion. The paid force temporary staffing agency.
So bringing forth this item is Ms. Monica Williams, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. This item is in compliance with Board Policy DJF Purchasing and Emergency Situations. We are asking at the conclusion of this presentation that the board vote to approve this item tonight in the agenda. Ms. Williams?
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I would like to present an item for discussion and also approval. The Human Resources Department is currently in need of a temporary benefits administrator due to a recent resignation. And so I would like to recommend that we use K-Force as our vendor to provide temporary benefits administration not to exceed $35,000. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
That concludes our items. The agenda is short so that we can focus our time on the town hall.
We will therefore move now to item 9, consent for agenda items. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Lastly on our agenda, item number 11 is an item for action, which is the K-4 temporary staffing. May I have a motion? So moved. May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. At this time, we will adjourn this meeting. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. We will adjourn this meeting now to our town hall.
At this time, we would ask that our board members please sit on the front row along with our student rep and Ms. Barbara Real will welcome you to tonight's event.
Thank you. Again, I do want to thank, I'm so happy to see so many people out. Let me ask my first question. Did everybody get a puzzle piece? No. Okay, if you didn't get a puzzle piece, can somebody on staff go out to the registration desk? Because it's important that everybody have a puzzle piece.
Where's the bucket? The bucket, the thing.
While we're waiting on the puzzle pieces, we'll just
So, I'm going to explain to you all why I asked that you get a puzzle piece. I don't know how many of y'all ever worked on a puzzle. Sometimes they're really fun to work on, all the intricate pieces that make up an image. But I found that when you're working on a puzzle, sometimes it's much more exciting when you're not doing it by yourself. A puzzle can symbolize many, many things. Usually on the box, to help you along as you're putting the puzzle together, they have an image that you should review or look at. Why we're here tonight is because we've gotten a little off track with our puzzle, putting our puzzle together. And The reason that I think that we've gotten off track is we don't understand the small part that each of us play in putting a puzzle together. I don't know if you've ever put a puzzle together and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and one small piece was missing. I don't know about you, but that drove me crazy. I looked under the tables and everything else to try to find out what in the world happened to that piece. And I didn't feel like the puzzle was together all the way because that piece was missing. I could recognize what the puzzle was about, but still that really got on my nerves that that piece was missing. It takes all of us to do our part. And this is a little small puzzle. You may think that the part that you play in this, what we're trying to do here at Riverview Gardens, you may think that your part is small. But we need your part to make the complete puzzle. And in order for us to do that, working to put this puzzle together, there's going to have to be some communication. There's going to have to be some accountability because I'm not responsible for your part. I'm responsible for my part. And some of us may have 2 or 3 pieces that we're responsible for. Some of us may have 1, some of us may have 100. But we're still all responsible for that piece. And I hope that if there are students here that they got a piece of the puzzle because they are responsible for their part as well. So we're here tonight to say we need all the parts of the puzzle in order to move our district forward. There are people out there, we hope that you will sign up to volunteer to help us do some things. If you have suggestions or whatever that we can use, we need your part of the puzzle. That's why we're here tonight. There were some people that said they didn't want a piece of the puzzle. And that's going to be the case. There are going to be some that don't want a part of it. And I can't force you to want a piece of the puzzle. But just know that without your piece, it's not a complete puzzle. That's why we're here tonight.
Thank you.
I want to introduce myself for those people who don't know me. I'm Dr. Nemnich Rd, and I'm going to say it really loud. I proudly serve as the superintendent for the Riverview Gardens School District. Because I don't know what you know about me, and I'm going to do my little segue before I talk about what I'm here. I don't know what you know about me, but I love challenges. And if you don't know about me, know that I am here because I choose to be here, not because I have to. I am here because I believe in the potential that exists in this district. And as Ms. Morrow Real said, it's going to take everyone in here, every single person in this room, to help us to achieve those things that we need to achieve. So what do we need to achieve? Our district is provisionally accredited. I'll say it again. Our district is provisionally accredited. And you can only be provisionally accredited so long before something else has to happen. Not on our watch. But we also know that it takes a village to make things happen. So the reason we want you here tonight is to help us on our journey. Our new mantra is there's a new view on the horizon. And team, what's the rest? Where learning is required. It's not an option. It's not a choice. It is required. But we realize it is going to take parents, our community partners, and everyone to make that happen. And so that's why we asked you here tonight. We didn't ask you to come in to talk about specific incidents that may be relative to you and your scholar. If that's a conversation you need to have, then you need to reach out to your building. And if you don't get your resolve there, then you reach out to myself or Dr. Pat. Tonight is about the collective voice of our partners, our community members, our teachers, our staff, to come together and say, what are we going to do as a district to turn this ship? Because if we don't do it collectively, we won't be a ship long. Someone said the other day that Riverview Gardens didn't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this, they don't do that. Well, there's some things we don't do. We get accused of bullying. We don't have one course in our district that talks about bullying. We don't have a course that talks about fighting. We don't have a course that talks about getting on my phone and texting and social media. Yet schools everywhere deal with that every single day. But there's only so much we can do. Someone told me today that in order to set up a social media account, you have to be 18 years old. Yet we have babies with social media accounts. So we're going to share with you today. We're a firm believer that whatever we do, if we want to be transparent, we can't hide behind the data. So we are going to open up and bear it all today. We're going to share with you some staggering data that you may or may not know. But we're sharing that with you because if you don't know, then you don't know where the needs are. If you don't know how you can help us. So we're going to bear it all today. So what I do ask is that when we get to the question and answer section, that you ask a question or make a comment about how you are going to commit to joining us and helping us. If you have a question about process and procedure, fine, we will answer that. But if you have a question about my child that this happened, I am going to respectfully ask you at that time to hold that. We're also going to ask that one person speak at a time so that everybody's voice can be heard. Because we're a firm believer that everybody has equal voice in the work that has to be done. So before we get into that, we did ask some special guests to join us today. And Dr. Singleton is going to recognize them. Then we're going to share with you our agenda. Are you going to share the agenda?
Yes.
He's going to tell you how this process will run today. So once again, thank you so much for coming out. It does my heart good. You have no clue how emotional I am right now to see so many people in this room. That gives us hope. So thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Dr. Rd. Adams, and good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Dr. Singleton. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Riverview Gardens School District. Very glad to be here at tonight's Town Hall. As Dr. Rd. Adams stated, we've asked some special guests to be here in attendance, and I'm going to call those names. And so at this time, we are going to ask. We did extend an invitation to Dr. Sam Page in St. Louis County. Is there a representative from Dr. Page's office here tonight? Let's keep going. Also, we extended an invitation to Mr. Wesley Bell, St. Louis County Prosecutor, and we understand that Mr. Clay Farmer is here to represent Wesley Bell's office. Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Looking across the room, I do not see, but I will call Representative Marlene Terry. Is she in the house tonight? All right. Senator Angela Mosley. Is Senator Mosley here? I believe Mayor DeShay and Moline Acres had a meeting tonight, so they could not be here. Also, Mayor Jones. He's ill tonight. What about Jeff Dominguez, City Administrator for Riverview? Also, Mayor Tommy Pearson of Bell Fountain Neighbors. He's ill as well. Mayor Yolanda Adams from Jennings. I'm sorry, Yolanda Austin. Yolanda Adams, all right. I'm going to sing a note, right? My apologies, Mayor Yolanda Austin. All right. Representative Yolanda Fountain Henderson, is she here tonight? Moving on to Reverend Tatman of Bell Fountain Neighbors and Coalition of Care. Is Reverend Chapman here? Thank you, Reverend Chapman. Mayor Ella Jones of Ferguson. Congresswoman Cori Bush, or is there a representative from her office here this evening? Moving on, we've got some special friends that we have made in the school district. What about from Real Talk, Mr. Sultan Muhammad? Are you here? All right, and your crew, would you please stand to be acknowledged? Judge Jimmy Edwards. Shakita Moore from Special School Districts.
She was unable to attend. I'm attending in her place.
Okay. Jennifer Henry. Thank you, Mrs. Henry from Special School Districts. Coran Bolden. Mr. Bolden, thank you for attending us tonight. And how about the marvelous and wonderful leaders of the Riverview Gardens School District? Will you please stand tonight to be acknowledged? All of our leaders, building principals, administrators from the Riverview Gardens School District. It's always good to see the very fine men in blue, although some are wearing brown and other colors. So we're going to acknowledge our police departments here tonight. St. Louis County, will you raise your hand? What about Moline Acres? Are you here? Moline Acres. What about our North County Co-op?
All right.
Right, we've got representation. And what about from Bell Fountain Neighbors? Right. Thank you so much for being here. Also, we want to recognize, and as Dr. Pruitt Adams said, it takes a village. And we have to recognize those that have partnered with us, our mental health officials. How about Chad's Coalition? Mindy Grossman, are you here? Thank you. What was that?
There's we have some mental health providers who aren't on the Presbyterian, Lutheran Children and Family Service.
Okay, Presbyterian, Lutheran Children and Family Service. Any of our mental health providers, are you here? Please stand to be recognized. Also, our Boys and Girls Club, are they here to be represented? Thank you. What about Soul Fisher? Soul Fisher is here tonight. What about the Little Bit Foundation? Our partners from Alive and Well. And again, we've mentioned our Lutheran Family Services. Let us not forget, thank you, a special shout out to those 7 members who control my paycheck. How about the Special Administrative Board? Will you all stand again to be recognized? Our illustrious superintendent. Y'all got to put your hands together one more time for Dr. Pruitt Adams. We've got other administrators, district officials. Of course, our safety and security team is here tonight to be a part of this. Thank you all so much for attending tonight's forum on mental health and school safety. The agenda, everyone should have a copy of the agenda. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, she
We
does
missed-
this on a daily basis.
We just don't want to not miss CARE STL.
Yeah.
And one of my support people who supports me in all that I do are area supervisor from the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary and Ms. Maureen Clancy.
Excuse us, and we don't want to forget our teachers that are here.
That was the next thing. Yeah. We want to recognize our teaching
Dr. Pruitt-Adams, since we're going to recognize our awesome teaching staff, let's not forget our awesome support staff as well. How about the support staff that's here tonight? Thank you so much.
And last, but certainly not least, thank you to our parents and community members who thought enough to come out tonight and have this. And our students are always at the core of everything we do, so thank you. So this is our agenda for tonight. We've already done the why we're here. We've done the introductions, now down to the business. So we're going to have Warren Newton come up and introduce our representative from the St. Louis County Police Department who is speaking tonight. And then after that, we're going to have Dr. Patton, Dr. Chad Lynn, and Dr. Phil Kennedy share that data that I told you about. Then we're going to have our representative from mental health come up and speak, and then we're going to open for questions and answers. It is our hope that as we go through this, you will see the connections of the conversations and the comments that you are going to hear tonight. And then later, we'll bring it to close after we do the questions and answers, and hopefully, the faces I see in this room, I will see again. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Like she said, I'm Warren Newton, Director of Safety and Security, and our first speaker, Lieutenant Edgecombe, John Edgecombe. He's a 29-year veteran of law enforcement, and he's been with St. Louis County 20 years, and he's watch commander for the 1st Precinct. Lieutenant Edgecombe.
I had a tough day in the gym, so forgive me for not. Thank you all for allowing us the opportunity and the time. We've got Lieutenant Danielle Durham with our community engagement. I've got Will Munson, who's with me, who's one of our school resource officers here. The reason I have them here is because they're subject matter experts in a variety of fields, and I wouldn't be doing this moment the justice that it deserves to not have them kind of accompany me. And so I want to start off by saying the diverse group of professions and things like that are breathtaking. I was just having a conversation with a nice lady in the back and with the Boys and Girls Club, and we were talking. My first job, one of my first jobs, was at the Boys Club of Bay County, which is Panama City, Florida, and I was an attendee there for a long time. So these moments where we have these coordinated community responses are just absolutely wonderful, and I think I'm so grateful for your time and the opportunity. So I'm here to talk about a variety of things. So I'm one of the watch commanders in the 1st Precinct, North County. I'm not here from Jennings or some of the surrounding municipal departments that are also here. But I did want to talk about some of the things that are kind of profound in our precinct specifically. Also wanted to make sure to extend an invite for you to come to our precinct, and we've always got ride-along forms, so we love having you guys up there for that. Talk a little bit about our new precinct that's getting ready to be built up by Christian Northeast. We're very excited about that. It's going to be a great community space. And then I also want to touch on a few of the crime trends, notably some of the crime trends with our youth, which in my opinion are some of the firearms crimes, some of the stolen automobiles, which have just caught on like a wildfire. And those are being used to facilitate a lot of different things. So, our 1st precinct, we have nearly 100 officers in there. It's the biggest precinct in the department. It's got a lot of challenges. It's got a lot of great things too. So we've been in the community, and I'll let Lieutenant Durham kind of touch on that a little bit. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes. Probably the biggest 2 things that I wanted to talk about is our violent crime and our violent crime rate. And although the tendency would show you from the macro view, it's on the decline. There are spots in certain instances where some of the attributes that we would plug in, notably firearms crimes, are up. Right. So I want to talk about that, and I'll kind of close off by letting you know how all that stuff kind of ties in together, right? So not long ago, there was a video that went around about how to steal one of these Kias. You guys all, and you got a Kia or a Hyundai in here, right? So judging by the response from that, you guys know what I'm about to start talking about. So one of the wonderful things is I don't want to speak for the other departments, but I can speak for our department. If you live in North St. Louis County, come up to the station. I'll give you some contact information. We got a club for you, okay? If you're in Castle Point, we've got a club for you. These are some of the other community engagement things that we're involved in. Again, I'll let Lieutenant Durham kind of speak on some of that. And I know some of the municipalities are doing the exact same thing. It's become such a problem that we're going through and our rough numbers, these aren't exact, but the rough numbers were roughly 450 stolen cars countywide last year. This year we're not even done with the year, and we're already over 1,400. It's exactly what we're saying too. So, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because I want to come back to that. So, firearms crimes, it's another thing that is a big problem for us. We have, now the nice thing about the St. Louis County Police Department, we have a lot of different resources. Our Crimes Against Persons Bureau, the people that investigate person-born crimes, homicides, robberies, sexual assaults, things of that nature, domestic violence, child abuse. They have a wonderful and excellent track record. What happens when there's bullets fired into a house? Or what happens when you have something that where a victim may not want to cooperate with the police and doesn't want to press charges or things like that, or a report is generated and those victims may not stay in touch for whatever reason. Between January and November 10th, we compiled some data. There was 365 incidents of gunfire in our precinct. This is not countywide, this is our precinct, unincorporated North St. Louis County. Of those 365 incidents, we had roughly 90 people that were struck by a bullet. Right? Of those 90 people struck by a bullet, there was about 16 of those that were struck fatally. So, getting to the crux of why we're here, we're finding now that these crimes are being perpetuated by persons younger and younger and younger. Now, I come up in our Special Operations Division as a dog handler. Greatest job, I loved every second of it. And I remember there was a story, all the police officers have these wild and crazy stories, just like all first responders do. And I remember one night we got called to a couple of cars being stolen. And it was an anomaly because when we got the car stopped, it was a 9 and an 11-year-old driving at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And now, again, speaking of how rare that was at that moment, now we're finding that that's not that big of an anomaly. So our crime is getting perpetuated by a younger and younger and younger group, right? And that's across the board. That's not specific to just North St. Louis, North St. Louis City, South County, or whatever. That's pretty far across the board. What are the reasons for that? Pick your poison, right? The reason I highlighted those two areas with the stolen cars and the firearms violence is because those two intertwine. People don't steal cars to go to the grocery stores. They're using that as a tool to facilitate more crime, right? We have a variety of different enforcement measures that we take to combat these problems, but you can't enforce your way out of the problem, right? Which is why this coordinated community event is so wonderful, because we all get to share problems. We all get to share solutions. We get to bridge the gap. I have this kind of bug that got in my head, it's at the top of 22 where it was, don't be a stranger, right? I don't want to be the police, the unknown, the faceless police officer. The core of leadership and the core of officers that are in our precinct don't want to be faceless. You've got great officers like Dr. Will Munson here that's one of our school resource officers. That program is specifically designed to bridge the gap between the communities, because some of these neighborhood stressors that happen on the weekend boil over into the school, right? And you need really competent, highly competent people like Will to help kind of smooth those over, right? So I don't want to get long-winded. I love getting down rabbit holes at some points. So I'll say this, and I'll end, and I'll get out of the way and let Will and let Lieutenant Durham speak. We're going to have a resource table out there. I'm dying to talk to every one of you, and we won't leave until every single question is satisfied to whatever end. And if not, I'll give you a contact number. We can talk on the way home. We can talk tomorrow, whatever that would be. So again, thank you so much for letting me get up here and ramble like I am, and we'll step out of the way here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess Will and I probably should have gone first. So as Lieutenant Edgecombe said, I am Lieutenant Danielle Durham. I am the commander of the Community Outreach Unit. So my unit consists of the Police Athletic League, and we have programs such as the Explorer program, the Cable program, and the Police Athletic League. So we cater more to the kids and just doing community events. So the Police Athletic League caters to kids that are 16 to 18 years old. The Explorer program is for 14 to 20 and a half. And the Cable program is also the teenage years, like 15 to like the 18 range. Again, we go out, do anything community related, build relationships with the community, trying to persuade them to not only be involved in law enforcement, but any career, as long as you pick a career. That's what we encourage. And I see Mr. Clay Former back there, and they have a program for kids also. But I didn't want to put you on the spot, sir. No, but really. So recently we just did a couple of the precincts, like the first precinct just did Toys for Tots, Shop with a Cop, I'm sorry. And they have another Shop with a Cop coming up this Sunday. So in the Afton precinct, South County did one, West County. We get a lot of donations coming in, and officers volunteer to shop with children and help them pick out toys. And we also get donations in my unit to help kids that are, underprivileged and help them. We go into the schools. We're currently not in the Riverview School District, but we really would like to.
Well, I'm going to call you tomorrow, so you can be right on top.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would love that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we're trying to get into Riverview. We talked to a couple people, maybe. So we would love to get into the Riverview schools. That helps alleviate some of the duties of the SROs, because my officers are going out, getting into the PE classes, or the recess with them lunch, so that can alleviate them to do other administrative duties if they need to, which would be great for you guys. I'll let Will talk now, but I really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask us any questions if you wanted to.
I would ask if we could.
Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, because we want to get through everything and then kind of bring it together.
Okay.
And but also want to be respectful of everybody's time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Since you guys took up all the 15 minutes.
That's fair.
I am Officer Will Munson. This is pretty much my 23rd year, actually as a school resource officer, 27 years, actually on the force. I actually started in the Hazelwood District, came to Riverview, went back to Hazelwood, now I'm back in the View, high school. There's 5 of us. I'm actually at the high school. We have an officer here located at Westview Middle, one at Central Middle, and 2 officers with the responsibility that's assigned to the elementary schools. And you guys will probably ask, what is a school resource officer? We have a 2-fold responsibility. The school resource officer, we basically, we teach, we have a law-related education format that we get into the classroom and we teach when we can to our kids about the facts and myths of the criminal and the juvenile justice system. But sometimes when I'm talking to the kids, I always tell them, we have that other responsibility. We play the police. Yes, we play the police. At times we actually have to enforce the ordinance of St. Louis County and the laws of the state of Missouri. So there's 5 of us that's in the district, and we do what we can to engage the kids with social encouragement and also with the classroom education. A lot of the stuff that Lieutenant Edgecombe said in reference to the crime-related issues, we are seeing some of our young youth involved. we're seeing a lot of them involved. I don't want to really get into a tangent about some of the things that that is actually heightened that I see over the years, and most definitely from the high school to the middle school level. But we need to do more engagement on the town hall front to kind of like nip this thing in the bud, because it's getting out of hand. I've been around for a long time, and I always tell the students every summer I lose a student to the faithful cause of what we just talked about. And there's gun violence, and there's drugs, and there's thefts, the car thefts. We have to begin to come up with a solution to nip this thing in the bud. This safety town hall meeting is very imperative to solving this problem. I can just honestly tell you this, and to be transparent, on the high school level, some of the things that I'm seeing, I don't know if the school district is going to discuss this, but this is what we're here for. And that is our drug use, the drug of choice. And that is the marijuana use. It's getting out of hand. I know it's been legalized here in the state of Missouri, but not in our schools. So we have to do our part and making sure that we connect with our parents. The conflict resolution issue, the mental part. I'm hoping I hear something about how we're going to deal with this conflict resolution. We're having trouble with our students with the conflict resolution. And guess what? Just today I had an issue with a parent dealing with conflict resolution. They don't know how to deal with conflict resolution. So as SROs, we are the liaison between the police department, the school district, and you all, the community. We have to become a focused, attentive entity to solve these problems. Because if we don't, we're going to basically be back here on the stage again, talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Again, I've been doing it for 22 years, and it's going up. These problems are increasing. Take my word for it. I always tell teachers, administrators, I've been doing it for a long time, and I've been seeing it go from where it was stable to where now it's going to an increasing circumstance. So we have to do what we can. Again, if you have questions, parents, community members, if you have questions reference to anything that's law related, anything social community related, you most definitely can get in contact with one of your SROs in the schools. I'm at the high school, and again, we are your resource. Use us as your resource. I tell the kids all the time, use us as your resource. We have, myself, I mean, from military to education to everything that I can provide resource for you, use us. We're just not the police looking to lock up our kids. We're not the prison to the pipeline to prison. We're not that. That's not us. We're the uniform, but we have a different voice. That's always what I want our community to understand. All right?
And we will have a question and answer section. And also, if your question doesn't get answered tonight, at the desk you should have seen a sheet. So if you have any lingering, if you have any lingering questions, we will answer those for you. So now on to the data piece. I'm going to ask Dr. Kennedy and Dr. Lynn if you come up, so as you transition between the three of you, it's seamless.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. And like the rest of DLT, we are happy to see so many of our community members here. I'm Tanya Patton. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. I'm going to hand the mic off to this gentleman to my right.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. My name is Dr. Phil Kennedy. I am the Executive Director of Assessment for the district. I'm here tonight to talk about our attendance data. And attendance is critical. It's one of the pieces and categories which DESE uses to calculate whether or not districts reach accreditation status. And the way that DESE, which is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the way that formula works is that they calculate proportional attendance. And what that means is that we have to have 90% of our students here 90% of the time. If that occurs, then we can maximize the points for that category. If we have 79% or less students coming 90% of the time, then we get 0 points. And that's kind of the category where we've been at. And so for the 21-22 school year, which was last school year, we came away with the percentage of 34.7% of our students being at school 90% of the time.
Wow.
So that's a huge drop. Okay? So I went back and looked at some of the attendance data over the years pre-pandemic in 2018 and 2019. We were at 67.8% of our students attending 90% of the time. That goes into 65% in 19 and 20, and then in 2021, it drops down to 39%. And like I said, where we're at now, we're at 34.7. So for this year currently, this is running our attendance through November, we have 56.8% of our students that are coming to school 90% of the time. And that's broken down by grade spans for with our elementary students. For grades K to 5, we have 62.8% that are coming 90% of the time. And when you're looking at that by grade level, this is kind of an area of concern for us, is that our kindergarten and our first graders have the lowest of any of those grades. And so those kids are missing out on key opportunities to establish their academic foundation. Middle school is running 50.9%, coming 90% of the time, and the high school is at 38.2% coming 90% of the time. So lack of attendance has a direct impact on so many things. And that's one of the reasons why I get to speak first on this, because the other data, it impacts the other data as well. Next month, I believe it's the 28th, at our board meeting, Dr. Pruitt-Adams is going to give a State of the District address, and you can be able to see the academic data, and you can see how the lack of attendance is impacting that data. So the next thing that it impacts is not clearly, if not being at school, is impacting the academic and performance of our students, but then also it's impacting the behavior of our students. Because Dr. Patton's going to share some suspension data, and you're going to say, well, how does that correlate? It correlates because when our scholars are gone, when they come back, is when their behavior is impacted. So it is important as a school community that we communicate and stress to everyone the importance of getting our scholars to school. So it's going to be taking baby steps, but at least we can try to shoot for the goal of getting to that 80% so we can start earning some points through our Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Thank you.
So I want to start by saying Dr. Joyland mentioned at the beginning that we were a provisionally accredited school. There are a few things we need to change that. Academics is one of them. Attendance is one of them. Behavior, suspensions is one of them, and then our finances. We need to have those 4 things solid in order to bring this district back to full accreditation. 34% of attendance, where can you be employed? I guarantee you if I came to work 34% of the time, this board would tell me goodbye. That's not good enough for our students. They have to be at school. If it rains, put on some rain boots and a coat and a raincoat and send them. But we are having parents say, well, it's raining, my baby's not coming, it's too cold. My baby's not coming, it's too hot. My baby's not coming. Those children need to be at school. The foundational piece is kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. By the time an African-American student gets to 4th grade, if they are unable to read, they will struggle the rest of their academic career. So they cannot be at home kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. That's our opportunity to get that foundation. That foundation is important. You build a house from where? The ground up. You can't start at the roof building a house. You have to start with laying a solid foundation, and then you build on top of that. So Dr. Kennedy's, those attendance percentages were devastating when he told me that we have got to change that. Our children, African American children, need to be at school. And as other people say, period. All right, I'm going to share some information. And go ahead and clutch your pearls right now. We have had 1,634 out-of-school suspensions. Events. We have had at the elementary level, we have had 512 events that resulted in out-of-school suspension. At the middle school, 625 events that resulted in an out-of-school suspension. And at the high school, 496 events that resulted in a high school in suspension. Yes.
Since when?
Oh, since the beginning of this year, I'm sorry. Just since October 23rd. August 23rd. August 23rd. Yeah, no, since August 23rd. Of those events, 466 of them were for fighting. 466. I heard the police officer say they are unable to resolve issues without coming to blows. And I have to say this, there are times when we're talking to parents and they're yelling and screaming, and that's where the babies are picking it up from. So you are the models. You have to teach them how to talk it out, to resolve it, because they're coming to blows. We've had 59 group fights. Group fights are identified as 3 or more. We have had weapons, 16 of them. Now let me say this, none of them have been loaded weapons. They've been like airsoft guns and kitchen knives that kids have brought to school. And then of those events, 38 of them have been bullying. We have a lot of bullying. This little object here is the cause of the problem in our schools. The text messages, right? I'm going to go in the cafeteria and I'm going to hit so-and-so. Meet me there. They send that and 55 kids show up in the cafeteria, and guess what they're doing? They're recording it all. Then they're uploading it to a website to get likes. That's unacceptable. We've had students taking pictures of other students sitting on the toilet. They airdrop it to 100 kids in seconds. Before that baby leaves the restroom, their picture is on everybody's phone. And then there's social media. The social media, when I asked the secondary principals, the suspensions, the issues that they're having, more than 50% of those issues are starting with cell phone, social media, text messages. So when we're thinking about, well, what can we do? Please understand, we're not trying to get these out of their hands to protect us. We're trying to get these out of their hands so we can teach. We need to teach. It's not about protecting us. We are not doing anything that we're ashamed of. But we need to teach. And this little object is stopping us. And like Dr. Jordan said, we don't have cell phone and social media classes. We don't. Ms. Moore-Real talked about the puzzle piece. Parents, you are the puzzle piece. We all need to work together to resolve this. We all need to work together so that your babies can leave this district ready to take on the world and get their education. And we need your help. I'm off my TED Talk. Thank you so much. Chad, Dr. Lynn works for SSD. He's going to present information as well.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Chad Lynn. I'm the Director of Special Education. I work for a special school district in Riverview. It's my 9th year here in Riverview. I do love it. One of the things that Special School District does is we provide special ed services, related services to all the students in St. Louis County who have disabilities. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about just real briefly tonight was the impact of some of this on students with disabilities. Students with disabilities are suspended in Riverview Gardens. They tend to be suspended a little bit more frequently, tend to be given more days, and are suspended more often than students without IEPs. Now, that's not very significant, which is actually a positive note, because when we compare it to the state averages, the state averages students with IEPs in the state of Missouri are suspended a lot more than kids in Riverview in comparison to students without disabilities. So that is a bit of a bright spot for us. One of the things that DESE and the state does look at is the suspensions that are greater than 10 days. And one of the things they want to compare it to is, so they take a look at the students with IEPs in Riverview Gardens and they compare them to students with IEPs across the state. And a student with an IEP in Riverview Gardens is 6.5 times more likely to receive 10 or more days of suspension than students outside of Riverview Gardens. So we do have students who are being suspended quite a bit, and we do want to try to get a hold of that so that we can be here, and you know, it impacts everything else. If we're being suspended, you're not here, your attendance is going to be poor, your academics are going to be worse. So just wanted to share that information.
I think Dr. Lipp just said what I was coming up here to say before we ask our mental health officials. In case you're wondering, why do we have the police? Then why do we talk about our data? Because we had the police here because you heard them say that many of the crimes and things that are happening now are happening at a younger age. And every time that happens, that takes a student out of the educational environment. Every time we have a fight, or every time we have to suspend for a weapon or a group fight, that is a disconnect for our students from the educational environment. And every time, the more you remove someone from the educational environment, the more they lose their identity and who they are. And then we see these other behaviors that come into play. And so that takes us into the mental health portion, but I'm hoping that as we finish this conversation, in case you're saying, I thought this was on school safety. It is. I thought it was on mental health. It is. All of those things impact teaching and learning for kids. All of those things impact us preparing students, which is a requirement to be college and career ready. And so we have to start setting that tone now. So we're going to ask our mental health officials to come forward, and then we'll tell you what we're doing in response and open it up for Q&A.
Very good. We have a lot of partners that support us with mental health. We have our own counselors and social workers who I see out here. So can you stand up, counselors and social workers, Riverview Gardens, stand up. And then we have our restorative justice personnel. I saw some of those. She always does this. Oh, she wants me down. Okay. All right. All right. So Mindy Grossman, come on up. She's from Chad's, and she will be speaking on behalf of mental health. But I just want to say again, we have many mental health partners that help support Riverview Gardens. So Mindy, can you come on up? Come on down.
The request was to stand so they can't see everybody.
Okay. Okay, just 1 second. Raise your hand if you're going to come back to one of our town halls. Clap if you're going to come back to one of our town hall meetings. All right. We got buses. We can come and get you. All right, all of you should have received a ticket when you came in. No? Oh, parents? Just our parents, okay.
If you have number 446239, you're the first attendance prize, come on up.
Let's see. I gotta check you out. 4. All right, here you go. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, our next number is
Throw that one back in there. 446237. Mindy, are you ready?
All right.
And the last one. Ta-da! 446230. 446230.
okay. All right. While we're waiting, I do want to acknowledge we also have our nurses here. So RGSD nurses, please stand up and be acknowledged. There we go. All right.
Hi, everyone. I was expecting a small PTO group. I didn't realize it was going to be this large. But this makes me really happy, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But my name is Mindy, and I work for CHADS Coalition. CHADS stands for Communities Healing Adolescent Depression and Suicide. And if you're not familiar with CHADS, our organization does a lot of things. The part that I'm affiliated with is called Signs of Suicide. We go out into schools. I've been in a couple of different schools in Riverview Gardens already this year. We talk to students about mental health. We talk to them about emotion management. We talk to them about what to look for in yourself or your friends in terms of signs and symptoms of suicide, of anxiety, of depression. We also have our mentoring program where we work one-on-one with students doing social emotional learning, and we have our family support division in which we actually have clinicians doing therapy with students out in the community. CHADS came about in 2005 because my bosses, who still run the organization, lost their son, whose name was Chad, to suicide. And he was 18 years old, but what always is significant to me is this. He first started talking about taking his life in 3rd grade. And when I think about that, I'm a parent, it's of adults. It's very amazing to me that at that age, somebody could be thinking about that. So it really makes me happy to see so many adults, teachers, I'm a former teacher, so yay teachers, teachers and parents out here ready to support their kids, because you guys are really the ones that make a huge difference. And this isn't necessarily part of the presentation, but just because I'm a former educator and I do this now, I'm going to say to you, the reality is all the things that these people talked about are the protective factors for keeping our students safe and keeping them alive. Academic success, that dating social media that is really hurting our kids. Those are all the important things that we need to think about. So do we have a clicker or no? Okay, can you run that up here? Is that okay? Okay, so I'm just going to go, I don't want to take up your whole evening here, maybe, so I'm just going to go through a couple things that are probably things that you, hold on a minute. This is not working as well as we thought it hoped. I can talk about mental health all day long. It's the technology part that I'm not good at. All right, just a couple of statistics that I think it's important that you're aware. 30% of students report that they felt sad or hopeless and they stopped doing usual activities. That's a definite thing to watch out for. 1 in 13 students, 13 young people per day are attempting suicide. 35 to 40 die by suicide every year. Here's the reality. The CDC tells us that 1 in 5 of our young people, and they consider that like ages 10 to 24, 1 in 5 of our young people are either struggling with mental health at this moment or will at some time in their life. We are seeing the amount of kids diagnosed with anxiety and depression at a higher rate than we have ever seen in our country. We are living through a mental health crisis right now. And so it's really important that we take note of that. Most bullying happens in middle school, and we talk about that because of the relationship between bullying and mental health. The most common types are verbal and social. It used to be when I was young, because I'm really old, when I was young it was like beating people up for their lunch money, right? It's totally different now. These kids are using social media to bully each other. And the scary thing about it is, as one of your other presenters said, information passes within seconds. A lot of times when I go into schools, I talk about this, mainly with our middle school and high school students, is the fact that you have no idea where, if you send something to someone, you have no idea where it's going and how many people are getting it. And it's really important that we take note of that. One of the things I do want to mention to you is the demographic where we're seeing the highest increase in suicide is amongst Black males, ages 10 to 24. And then 48% of high school students who identify as LGBTQ plus seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. Some risk factors to think about, behavioral health that is not diagnosed. So mental health conditions that are not diagnosed, I will tell you, mental health issues are genetic oftentimes, and I think people don't necessarily realize that huge connection. If there is somebody in your family tree and you are seeing things from your student that kind of don't make sense, isn't their usual behavior, that's definitely something to think about. A lot of times kids who are very poor at problem solving, that could be a risk factor. Low self-esteem, adverse life experiences. We all just lived through a pandemic. It's still going on apparently. Those are all things. Exposure to suicide, abuse, things like that. Also family characteristics. Trauma from some type of family situation could be a risk factor, and then environmental. One of the things I want to share with you, there's a lot of risk factors that go into suicide, but some we can prevent. Access to lethal means is something we can prevent. When we see students, young people, who take their lives sometimes impulsively, the biggest factor that allows that to happen is access to lethal means in their home. So it's something to really think about and really be safe about, for sure. Some other issues, limited access to care. My other mental health professional friends in the audience, if you know anything about trying to get students in to see mental health professionals, there's not as many as we need, for sure. And the sad part about it is, a lot of them aren't even taking insurance. So that's another, barrier to getting help. In addition, the stigma that a lot of people have surrounding mental health. I think that we need to be really serious about this and remember that mental health is a medical condition. I know that there's a lot of people out there who believe it's not a real thing. I know there's a lot of people out there who believe it's a sign of weakness. You should be able to just be happy if you're sad, or not be so anxious, or whatever. The reality is, it's a medical condition, and we need to treat it as such. And that's what we talk to our students about. The fact that if you can't see, you wear glasses. If you have asthma, you use an inhaler. And if you are so anxious or so depressed, you need help with that too, right? The other thing I think that I think it's important to remember is that a lot of times if parents have never experienced their own mental health issues, it's hard to understand and it's really scary. I think that society has created these images of what mental health looks like or what people with mental health struggles are like. Nobody wants their kid to be that kid. We all, we parent as best we can, and if something like that happens, but I think that we need to think about what is best for your child and put your child first and believe them when they tell you that they're having thoughts or they're having feelings, right? It may seem really small to you. Believe me, as a parent, sometimes my kids would say stuff to me and I'd be like, it's whatever, you're fine, right? But we need to really listen to our kids and listen without judgment. That's the most important thing. Okay. Populations at elevated risk, LGBTQ plus community, students who are involved in drug or alcohol use, students in the gifted population. I think this is an interesting thing. This is another demographic where we are seeing a huge increase in suicide. Not just academically gifted, athletically gifted. I don't know how much you guys watch the news, but last year we saw a lot of news stories about very talented college athletes who were taking their lives. So we need to really be concerned about that population. They've put a ton of pressure on themselves. So it's really important to think about that. People impacted by suicide, medical conditions, bullying, oftentimes students who are homeless, or out of their home setting, and then non-suicidal self-injury population. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead really quick.
We have about 2-3 minutes.
Okay, let me go to this really quick. Some warning signs of depression. I'll let you guys read through that. Sorry. As well as some warning signs of suicide. I want to say one thing because this is what parents always ask me. How do I know if my child is having normal teenage behavior? We know sometimes how that looks. Or how do I know if I should be worried about them and it's a mental health issue? So here's one thing to think about. If your child is exhibiting the same behavior in every domain of their life, at football practice, at school, and at home, that could be something to worry about. But if you talk to your kid's football coach and the coach is like, oh my God, your kid is such a pleasure. And their teacher's like, oh, your kid's such a pleasure in the classroom. And they save that crazy behavior for you at home. And we all know what that looks like. I've lived it. That is normal teenage behavior. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you this. Your home is the safe space. And whatever issues they have, whatever they're feeling, they feel like they can let it loose in front of their family because you love them unconditionally, right? But if you are seeing the same isolating, crabby behavior, angry, irritable behavior across all areas of their life, that could be something to think about in terms of mental health. Really quick, if you suspect that your child has an issue, use your school. School counselors have tons of resources. They've been trained to observe behavior. They've been trained to do suicide risk assessments, all of those things. Talk to your pediatrician. The state of Missouri says that at the age of 8, every year when a child goes in for a well check, they have to do a mental health assessment. So those are 2 great places to start if you think there is an issue. And your school counselor, if there is something that needs to be seen outside of the school, more in a professional setting, can definitely offer you resources. All right. Am I? All right. Great.
So we're going to trying to condense the next part because we do want you to get the opportunity for your question and answer section. Okay, so we're going to now talk about what we've done in response. You've heard about our data, you've heard about our attendance, you've heard about mental health, and you're probably saying, so what are you doing? What are you doing to address it? So we're going to share with you now some of the things that we're doing, and then we're going to ask for your support. You have to walk out there so the camera guy can get you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Deidre Liddell. I'm the District Intervention Coordinator here at Riverview Gardens School District. A couple things that we have already in place. We have counseling within all of our schools within the district, okay? Whether that looks like an outside agency or that looks like our social workers or our counselors, okay? We have Lutheran Family Services, we have Jewish Family Services, we have Youth in Need, we have CARE STL. CARE STL is one of our partners that will also offer family therapy as well. So if anyone within the family is looking for therapy services, then we have that. All of these options are free to our students and our parents, okay? So we have options for everything. We have Presbyterian Children's Home, which is a mentoring program for our youth. NAMI comes in. NAMI is our, NAMI speaks about mental health. They speak to the children. They also speak to our staff because it's important that our staff know what's going on so we know how to take care of our babies, okay? We also have BJC. BJC is a wraparound service, and if anyone is in need of like psychiatric testing or anything like that, that is also a free service that we offer. Annie's Hope comes in. Annie's Hope deals with grief and loss. Safe Touch comes in, and they talk to students about safe touch for students as well as adults. So we want to make sure that our students and our staff are covered throughout.
Very good.
Thank you. I do want to mention too, we were the recipient, Riverview Gardens was the recipient of a grant. We will get $350,000 each year for the next 4 years, and we're focusing that on mental health support. We are also trying to work with another organization as well as Lindenwood and UMSL because we have an opportunity to get another grant where we create a pipeline of mental health support from the colleges right into our district. That grant is from $400,000 to $1.2 million per year for the next 4 or 5 years. So we are working on that. We understand that there is a connection between the mental health of our students, their presence at school, and their academics, and we're trying to address that, okay? All right, thank you. I will hand it back over to Dr. Jorlyn Pruitt-Adams.
Just a couple of other things very quickly that we have in place, and then it's the question and answer section. So we have resource fairs where we offer different opportunities for our students. We have homeschool coordinators. We have the resources through special school district. We've put in place sports activities starting at the elementary level, building capacity for that. We're starting a student leadership council so our students can have a voice in the decision making throughout the district. We have, she stepped out, Reverend Tabman, who sponsored with the district the Safety Summit, and that's going to happen again for next spring. And then we formed a committee we call It Takes a Village. And It Takes a Village, we look at all of those things that impact what's happening in our classrooms and come up with possible solutions to address those. So I'm going to talk about 3 of those solutions. So we realized that students who have been home a year and a half through the pandemic on their own, sitting in a classroom now under teaching and learning is difficult. So we reached out to 3 partners who I know through my experience have had success in helping students build self-esteem, deal with conflict, do some resolution, and begin to build a sense of community. And so we will be bringing on in January Mr. Coran Bolden. And he and Brittany, Brandy, I'm so sorry. We'll be working with our middle schools on positive messaging, building a sense of community and self-motivation. We also have Sultan Mohammed and Victor Pishan from Real Talk, who will be working at the high school and doing this in the community, working with our students on self-love and really tuning into what they can do to change the culture and the climate at the high school. And then we have Mr. Ralph Mason from Positive Zone, who is also going to be doing some work at our elementary schools about bullying, socialization, and building a sense of self-confidence. We believe that if we attack this at all levels of our school district, we will begin to turn the climate and the culture for our students here. And then I learned the other day from the wonderful Reverend Tapman that they have a group that she'll probably speak to when it's the question and answer section. So our hope tonight is that you see where we are, you see the need, and that you are going to join us in carving out this new journey. So with that, we're going to turn it over to the question and answer section. So if you have questions, Mr. Ishmael Sistrom, our Executive Director of Communications, will tell you which mic to go to. And if you have a question of us, my team is going to come up here and we'll answer any questions that you may have. We may call on some of our guests, special guests in the audience, if need be, to answer some of those questions as well. So if my team would come on up, we can answer some questions.
And do we have any elected officials that were not recognized earlier in the building? All right. We'd like to definitely, if you'd like to step up and just say your name. We mentioned a lot of elected officials that weren't able to make it, but I did want to make sure that we recognize those who were able to make it this evening.
Teresa Hester, Alderwoman in Bellfountain Neighbors, Ward 1.
James Thomas Sr., I'm Alderman 3rd Ward, Bellfountain Neighbors.
Regina Harmon Ward, 3rd Ward, Bellfountain University.
All right, does anybody have any questions or anything? All right, ma'am.
And we do have 2 mics, one on each side.
Yeah, we have one on each side, and if someone is unable to get up, if you need me to bring a microphone to you, please let me know, and I'll come down to you.
Thank you. I will not say my name because I do work within the schools. But one of my questions is, I understand that you guys want to keep the kids in school, but how can you not, when you have the bullying, the following, and stuff like that, but those kids are only suspended 3 to 5 days or 10 days? There are other elements of schools that surround us, the special school district, that deals with those kids that can be in the schools. You can put them over there in Northview, Ackerman. We have a whole range of those special school district schools. So are those kids who like to fight, who cannot control themselves, cannot go into a setting where they're in school every day, can be in a self-contained classroom. Because what you do have, and by me being a bus driver, I understand it. If they don't get them on your school grounds, they get it outside that bus. Okay? Y'all have the metal detectors for the school, but us as bus drivers have no protection. So when we pull up, your kid just got bullied at school, we don't know who's out there behind a door, a bush, a car, waiting to shoot that child or attack that child when that child gets off the bus. So my thing is this, y'all know who's keeping up the problems. Y'all know who's fighting. Y'all know that if there's, what you say, it's an airdrop, why aren't they prosecuted? I understand we don't want to prosecute our younger kids, but if you don't stop them now, then they become adults who still think that they can get away with this. I've been in this district, my son is 24. This issue has been going on since he's been in school, to where I actually made the sacrifice and put him into private school.
Okay.
Everybody can't afford that.
Okay, I'm going to try to answer your question. Well, first of all, there has to be measures. You just can't arbitrarily put students out. Every situation that happens must be investigated. We can't make assumptions. We have to do the investigation first. We do suspend kids. Our discipline code book is on the website. It will tell you the consequence for the action. However, We are also removing to a restorative justice process, which means sometimes hurt people.
Exactly.
And so we have to deal with the hurt. And students, they are spontaneous. A lot of times they don't think, I'm going to go over here and do something to this person. It just happens. And sometimes they don't even recognize the harm that they have done. And so that's why we talk about restorative justice practices. We have done mediations, we've done circles, we do all of that. In fact, at our middle school and high school, there are 3 restorative justice professionals at each of those buildings. That's a total of 9 to deal with those things. The other thing is we can't assume because a child is angry. We can't assume because a child had a fight that he or she belongs with a special school district diagnosis. That's another process as well.
Well,
And
keep them at home until they stop attacking these
finish.
children.
I'll let you finish. Let me finish.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
I'm not talking, and not every child is going to shoot someone. Not every child is intending to be angry. Sometimes we don't even know the trauma that that child has gone through. And so each situation has to be dealt with differently. You just can't arbitrarily do, is all I'm saying. And as a school district, we have a process that we must follow. We know a lot of times parents want to know, what's the consequence for John? We can't even share that. Our job is to ensure that we try to keep our students as much as possible connected to the school, because they too are entitled to an education regardless of where they land. That may not have answered your question, but if you and I want to have another talk, and I understand about the bus driving. One of the things we're going to do next year is it was actually now. So when students come back in January, they're required to wear their ID as well. And I know there's this preconceived notion that if a student doesn't have an ID on, they can't ride the bus. That's not true. We need our students in school, but we also need to know who they are when they come to our school as a safety measure. And so if you have, what we're asking our bus drivers to do, Dr. Levon Singleton is responsible for transportation. So if you know there are some ongoing circumstances on your bus, let us know. And then our principals have no problems meeting with those parents. I know that our high school principal, Ms. Nave, has had multiple mediations and restorative circles with parents, because sometimes our students are bringing the anger they get from home. And it is not, we want you to be safe, but if you feel that you're in danger, you let us know and we'll try to see what we can do about that.
Okay, and I'm gonna walk away because I am, like I said, I am a bus driver and I'm ready to go home so I can go sleep. One of the biggest issues is that's why you don't have bus drivers. I don't care how much money you throw at some people, they're not coming. Because it's the lack of discipline with the children. And when the bus drivers write the reports, nothing is being done about it. So I mean, like I said, here, I know at one time that principal is no longer here, they will tell you that once they cross that street, Riverview has nothing else to do with it. And like I said, so I'm just telling you what it was and what made me take my child out. So I'm telling you, when you're dealing with stuff like that and as a bus driver, I try to protect everybody's kid, but it's going to be my life over there, and I'm sorry.
It also sounds like there may need to be some training for our bus drivers too in de-escalation. Because when you have all the kids on the bus and you have all these different attitudes going, and if you don't know how to de-escalate, how to deal with those situations. So I understand that. I don't want you to think I don't understand that. And with regards to once they cross the street, there's this term called in loco parentis. We are responsible until they get home.
And if I can, Dr. Pruitt, one thing I would add to that is that's an important reason we're having this meeting, because this is a community problem. The school district can't solve students fighting, student violence, because a lot of the time this is happening in the community, it's happening at home, it's happening in other areas, on social media, we've talked about that. So we really need parents, we need our community partners, we need our elected officials and community leaders to all come together to solve this problem. So we appreciate you all for being here for that.
Good evening.
Hold on. I don't know who was there. That's okay.
Can everyone hear me? No. Yes, it is.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. My name is Ms. Smith. I am a mother of 3 children at the Riverview Gardens School District. We have been here since November 2019. I will tell you I was afraid to come to Riverview upon moving into Ferguson. But here we are, and I am extremely proud of the staff and the administrators of the Riverview Gardens School District. I don't say that because my children are in the district, because many of you know we have had our challenges from elementary, not the elementary. Ooh, that principal was amazing. Not saying nobody else is, but I'm just saying, she knows who she is. Dr. Johnson. No, okay, for real. Love her dearly, proud of you. I've been in actually both of the middle schools, as well as I'm now in the high school. So with that being said, one of my questions is, are we not having assemblies anymore? Are we not having town hall meetings with the students that we're constantly talking about having these issues?
So I know there are grade level, freshman, sophomore, junior meetings at the high school. I know that at Central Middle School, they have town halls during lunchtime. They have town halls like almost every other day. And I believe here, she's shaking her head like, but it's true. And I believe they have student conversations here at Westview too.
Okay, so the information that was provided from the young lady, I am not sure where she went, that she explained the services that you all have. Is that information being provided to our students and scholars as well?
It is. Now, we could probably do a better job if you don't know about it.
Have not heard a word.
Okay. That's one of the things that we are, one of this means, making sure that we hear your voice.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're not getting that information, then we need, as a district, to do a better job. But it should be on our website under student support services.
So under student support services, what we have now is the RAM Hub. However, I have talked to our facilitator for our website, and we're going to have an entire student support services webpage coming forward.
I hear you say webpage, and I only interrupt you because I look at the internet, and I actually had a conversation today about some misinformation that was provided on the internet. With that being said, how do we get it to our students? How do we face-to-face let our students know that these services are available? They may not want to go to the website.
So for our students,
Hi, so I'm Khadijah Devian. I'm a district college and career coordinator. So earlier this semester, myself and the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior counselors, we went into the classrooms and we talked about, first we just did a check-in, like how's it going? And then we asked them, well, okay, just so you guys know, these are the things that you're feeling. We talked to them about, Ms. Gregory, the need, and we kind of explained to them that they also really need to be checking their emails, because that really is the best way that we can communicate.
Thanks. That really is the best way that we can communicate with all students. There's a lot of them. There's over 400 freshmen, over 350 sophomores, over 350 juniors, and we're rocking at 200 seniors. And so the best way to make sure that students know what we have available to them is email, as well as pushing into the classrooms. But I hear you that we can always over-communicate and do things better. We have elementary and middle that struggle with mental illness as well. I hear you with the high school.
Yeah.
I'm asking for all schools.
So I do want to say that our counselors push into classrooms at the middle school level as well.
And elementary.
And elementary. Adele, do you want to talk more about that?
So with that, we push into the classrooms. The reason why I talked about the web pages is because that's something new that's coming up. We do push a lot of things out via email. What we found is some of our students check their email, some of our students don't, right? So when we push into the classrooms, we do give that information. When the students come into the counseling office, we give that information. We have resource tables and different things like that. So I know that like Ms. T.Jan said, we can never do enough in over-communicating, so we're just finding more ways to communicate so they know those services are available.
Thank you, ladies. Well, just one last question. I know our educators are exhausted. I know our educators are exhausted. what in services for their mental health, for empathy, for interventions to safely redirect a physical altercation is Riverview offer to our educators in the building dealing with these adult-sized children every day.
So one of the things we instituted this year, well, last year, at Thanksgiving, we gave some wellness days the week of Thanksgiving. One of the other things we instituted, because we know our staff is tired, we know that, and due to the shortness of staff, they're even more tired because they're having to take on more kids. And so we put in massage chairs, right, through a grant at every building, just so when they go into the teacher's lounge, they can just take a moment and relax. For next year's calendar, as we look at it, we are building in wellness days so they can have some time. We've talked about changing PD, offering some PD even this year, even though our PD days are done, some after school and some Saturday PD. Our teachers have said, we need some instruction in classroom management. So we're going to offer some additional professional development this year around classroom management, around restorative justice practices, around how to have these conversations with our students to help de-escalate some of the situations before they get out of hand.
We also, last year, we had Alive and Well that came in to talk about trauma-informed care for all of our teachers. That's what a lot of our professional development was around last year. We do have some recaps coming up this year, and we're also teaching our students about trauma-informed care, and they're pushing in this year.
I'm going to ask that if you have another question, we let the other people who are waiting behind you.
2 seconds, Ms. Pat. BOP News, I see you, Karen. You all did your data, and here I am going to do mine on the parent piece. Parents, I'm disappointed in all of you VOP because 215 of you shared the physical altercation video, 186 comments on the live stream right now. There is only 18 views, 19 shares, and 34 comments. The district cannot change without the support of the parents that created these children as regular child students. Have a good evening.
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, was the parent involvement. I've been in the district now for a long time. And one of the things that I know that helped me as a parent was parent involvement, was being a parent and being involved. And we need to bring that back. And I'm more than willing to step up to the plate and help work that out. My children have graduated, but I got 3 grandchildren, and I love all the children in the community. And it just seems like it's apropos that Bell Fountain has like 3 schools. We have the high school, we got Gibson, and we have Danforth. And it's more than a notion as an elected official for the city of Bell Fountain not to be involved, not to come to the table, because you asked for solutions. I didn't come to throw rocks. I came to try to help, not even try to help, but to help, and put all the forces that I can muster into that. Thank you.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Ma'am on the right.
Hello. My name is Latoya. Some of my staff members know me as Nurse Hammond. I am a nurse here in the district. I love it. I believe in it. When I first started, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to give up on the babies. I'm like, it's rough sometimes. I'm not going to lie, it is. But I'm like, I'm not going to give up on our babies. I have kids. So my question is, as a parent, we focus so much on like the bullying, all of this. What are you doing for the kids that aren't doing the things that the bullies are doing? How are you celebrating them? Because guess what? All the bullies want to be seen. So with that being said, if you celebrate the people, the kids that are doing the right thing, the bullies don't want to follow. So we need to start celebrating those who are doing the right thing.
Absolutely, and I know that each school is doing that. And then, we as a district can also, hopefully right around the map testing window, when they do a big celebration for our students as well. But every school is honoring and celebrating their scholars.
Right, because like we have this big meeting, like, hey, we had honor roll, let's have a night where we just honor them. Hey, you did a good job. We understand we see it in the schools, but they want to be acknowledged. A lot of kids want to be acknowledged, and as a nurse, it starts at the bottom of the pyramid. You have to meet their basic needs first. And one of the basic needs, they like to be acknowledged. Like we have a student that's in high school. She comes here, she wants to do the board all the time. She left her doing the board. That's what she likes. So if you acknowledge kids and get them jobs or things of that nature, that's how you can acknowledge them. They want to be seen, so if the bullies want to be seen, maybe they'll turn it around and be like, hey, maybe I can take the trash out. Or maybe I can pick up the trash. I'll be saying, give them a reward like, hey, I can get this for doing this. They'll turn it around a little bit. It's kind of like redirecting.
Those are some great behaviors, because you're absolutely right. When I said to someone recently, they had an assembly for honor roll, and I said, well, did you have some of the students who work on honor roll in there? And, you know, normally that doesn't happen, but the premise is if they see the celebration, then they want to be a part of that celebration. And that's one of the things we're doing with our elementary sports activities. It addresses attendance, it addresses good citizenship, and it addresses academic performance. And students want to do that. So you're absolutely correct. And so we can build some things also at the district level about recognizing our students.
And a few things that we have been doing at the district level. Number one, we've been recognizing more students in our special administrative board meetings. You saw us do Riverview Excellence today with one of our staff members. We do that with students. We have 2 student representatives, a representative and an alternate that are on our board. And then I'm the chair of the district's communications committee. And one of the things that we're going to start doing after the break is having a student of the month and having a teacher of the month, where we are picking those students, and again, at the special administrative board meetings, we'll be acknowledging those students. But we want to get nominations from our teachers, from our staff, even from our parents, and then that community will go over those nominations and choose those winners on a monthly basis. So.
Okay, my name is Tawani Shelton. I have 2 daughters at the Riverview Garden High School. Seeing how social media has taken such a dramatic hold on our students, how about we teach them? How about putting that into the curriculum on how to be appropriate? Are there conversations between these school resource officers telling them, if you take a picture of somebody's private area, that's trafficking. That's sex trafficking. Do they understand the penalty? Do they understand the longevity of this? Because when they airdrop it, that's pornographic material that they're spreading. So now they can be considered a sex offender at the age of 17, all the way through the rest of their life. They have to register. They can't live within certain miles of a school. Things like that need to be understood, not just by the students and scholars, but also by parents. Some parents don't understand what all their children is doing on these cell phones and tablets and everything. I can speak for myself. There's some things I'm trying to make sure I am involved in and understand, but still there's some things that these kids can do in a split minute. So we have to teach everyone, the whole community, you know, even the bus drivers, because let's say they get on that bus, if they know if they snuck their phone out the house, they own their cell phone at 7 in the morning. If they got into a fight at school, they own their cell phone while they're standing on the bus stop going home. So we know this is going to be an everyday thing. Let's teach these kids, let's teach these parents what are the long-term ramifications of their actions. Every action has a consequence, whether it be punishable by law or a lifetime of other consequences that will lead them down the wrong way. But they have to understand that. We cannot coddle these children, because let's take it out there in the world. They're not going to do it. Some of the streets already got our babies. So we need to take our babies back from the streets. Absolutely. And we have to do this together. Let's bring these parents back into those school buildings. Let's volunteer. Let's be PTO
for the Parent Advisory Council, and it's only a handful, at the most maybe 10, across the whole district. All of these parents here, all of these community members, we should break the internet when it comes to these PTO and Parent Advisory Council meetings. Every time I try to be there, I even tell other parents that I know, be at this meeting.
So that's a perfect segue for me at this point too. We're going to, if you sign that attendance sheet out there, we're going to reach out to you because we want more parents engaged. So we're going to ask you to be on different committees. The district is about to embark upon the process of writing a new strategic plan or comprehensive school improvement plan. And it has various components. And one of the key pieces of a Senate bill that's coming down that must be in there is parent engagement. It is critical from Senate Bill 681. And so we will be reaching out to you to be an active role at all levels of decision making in our district and getting that work done. So thank you for that segue. Just one thing, if you have a child who is in the is being taken care of in daycare, I'm going to ask that you go and get your child only because we have students from DECA who are taking care of them and they have to go to school in the morning. Next question. Next.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Pruitt Adams, your staff and community leaders. I am Alderwoman Reverend Diana Tapman from the greatest city of Bellefontaine neighbors. I'm here to offer the forearm of a plethora of professionals. We have formed a Community Caring Council, and we are vowing to you and your staff and these families here to come alongside you for free. And it's a plethora of trained counselors, chaplains, and therapists.
Yes, Lord.
And our commitment to this community, parents, and this district, that when you need someone, whenever, however, wherever, that we are available to do that. And we have a forearm of resources and access, because we have to realize that our children are hurting. And so I love the restorative justice piece, because you have to find out where the hurt is. If you address the hurt, you have the answer. But parents are hurting too. And so we have a team of 15 that also have counselors for adults all the way down to our little ones. So Community Caring Council is the name. We have a plethora of resources where you can get a hold of us. We'll be working right alongside this team right here. And you will have access to our phone numbers and any other resources you have. This is Dr. Lena Chapman, this young woman is the CEO of Haven of Light Christian Counseling, which is 6 of those 15 we have. We have other chaplains from ecumenical group of clergy that are licensed and trained. And so I would like for Dr. Chapman to explain the services, and she has some actionable things that can be done. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Lena Chapman and I am actually a former employee of Riverview Gardens School District. I was a parent educator, parents and teachers for about 4 to 5 years, and then I went on to pursue my counseling private practice in 2020. But I do have a suggestion. And my suggestion or my question, one or the other, would be how are we supporting the staff members with mental health? And I say that because we have a lot of resources for the kids, but obviously as adults we have our own stuff. So you have staff members coming from broken homes, you have staff members, dealing with their financial issues, spiritual issues, emotional issues, things like that. How do we support the staff with the mental health support that they need? I know that we have these trainings coming in to train them on how to support the kids. But how are we training them on how to support themselves? Self-regulation, conflict mediation, all those different things within themselves in order to be able to support other people who are not emotionally regulated.
We need help with that.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct. Our teachers are struggling.
Yes.
And, we right now, we offer them EAP, we offer them the services. One of the things with the grant that we mentioned earlier, that's not just for students. That's for our staff and for our parents and community to also have access. And then there's another grant we're waiting on that will actually have those professionals on site every day.
Yes.
But we won't know about that until late spring. So we need some help, and I would really like an opportunity to sit down with you.
Absolutely.
And see what we can do sooner rather than later to also support our staff.
Yes, I'm going to put this plug in here. I worked with the secretaries last year. I did a training on What About Me, that was the name of it, What About Me, Mental Health Awareness. And it was literally a training to talk about what's going on with the person, the actual staff member, and how to support them, give them coping skills and different tools in their belt in order to be able to support, on the job and things of that nature. So I'm just going to put that plug in there. I'm going to put that plug in there, but I would gladly love to work and support you guys when it comes to the staff members, because I know it seems like we have a lot of resources for the kids, but the staff, because we all got something going on, right? Okay? All right. So
Hello. I would like to come from a different perspective. I retired 28 years in the juvenile system, Division of Youth Services. And in my experience, I find that our villages have crumbled. We have no more villages. Our kids don't have the villages that we had. Our parents are partying with their kids, fighting with their kids. How are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with that? I raised my son in Riverview Gardens School District, and from kindergarten all the way through high school, he didn't go to high school in the Riverview District. I took him out because I didn't like what I was saying, and I put him in magnet school. But from kindergarten to 12th grade, I was either president or vice president of the PTO, just to keep up with what was going on in the schools. We could not get 10 parents to a PTO meeting, but let a kid go home and tell their parent that a teacher disciplined them in any kind of way. You got the whole family ready to come and fight with the kids. What are we supposed to do with that? You understand? So I'm just saying to the parents, the juvenile systems are crumbling. We had juvenile facilities all over Missouri. Every juvenile system that I know of has closed down. Corporations are building prisons, not for their kids. Our kids are falling into the trap. And the parents of these kids are not understanding. You're setting them up by being their friend. You're setting them up. I'm sorry. You're setting your kids up. I've been an innocent victim of gun violence 4 times. My father was killed. My sister was killed. My son was shot. My niece was killed. Minding their own business. Minding their own business. My son first year of college, he couldn't even go back, because he was showing his little girlfriend who he met in college around St. Louis. They riding downtown, somebody pulled up outside of a store shooting. My niece that was driving, she died, left a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old who my sister's not raising. My son, first year of college, up in Omaha, Nebraska, got shot 4 times. For what? Because they could. Because they could. No other reason. But I say that to say, this is where our young youth are headed. And as parents, you better open your eyes. Because you're setting them up when you're being their friends, when you're drinking with them, when you're fighting with them, and when you're setting them up. It's not cute. It's time to be a parent
You've had your time. If you missed out on anything as a kid, you just missed out. Don't live through your kids. Raise your kids. I'm sorry. Anyway, I say all that to say, we as parents, we have got to step up. And there need to be more mentoring programs for the young women. We have a lot for the young men.
Well,
I'm sorry.
we know. You guys keep giving me these perfect segues. Just had a meeting this week with Shalonda Scales Ferguson. She's a judge and a graduate of Riverview Gardens. And she is going to form, starting in January, a group, we haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Neighbor about it yet, a group for young ladies. Young ladies who are interested in the law, who are interested in the business, who are interested in politics. And it's not going to be just helping them to navigate that journey or where they want to go, but making them the whole, well-rounded young ladies.
Because we need that, because the young ladies nowadays are as bad as the young guys, as bad as the boys.
So she reached out to us and said, I want to give back.
Yeah.
And so we actually met with her this week. Last week. It's running together. We actually met with her last week, and we were pulling the group together starting in January.
Well, I would like to help any way I can.
So I don't know if you signed in, but if you didn't, if you would give, Demetra, raise your hand. If you would give the young lady with her hand raised your name, I'll be sure to call you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marcia Carradine, and I am a parent educator with Riverview Gardens School District. I have my co-workers, Frida, Jones, and Tamika, and then we have two others who are not here today. So what I hear you saying is about the middle school, the elementary schools, and the high school. What about preschool? As a parent educator, we work with parents to educate their children. Being in the Michelle Obama Early Education Center, you know, we interact with the parents, we go into the classrooms with the children, but when we come to the meetings, nobody says anything about us. Nobody talks about PAT. But this young lady just talked about parents being parents, and that's our job, is to help the parent be a parent and help them with conflict resolutions and show them how to be models for their children. You doing this, like what she said, you can't party with your kids, party in front of your kids. You have to model for your children. And as a parent educator, that's what we try to portray. A parent is a soldier, and it starts, you can't get these kids when they get into elementary school. By that time, it's too late. It's got to start at prenatal, because the mother is carrying the child, her whole, everything going around her, her environment, her energy, all of that is put into the fetus, and then when the baby comes out, the mother may not be on drugs, but all of this fighting and everything that goes around that comes out in the child, and it just goes on from there. So what I'm challenging all of you to do is give us some recognition, give us some tools, put our names out there, put us on your website, recognize us at your meetings, because we are the real PAT of North County.
I'm going to thank you for calling us out on that. Because actually, you know, I think in my head I see Michelle Obama as just one of our schools. I don't see it as a separate entity, and I should. So you're absolutely right. When I spoke to Mr. Mason, you heard me talk about Ralph Mason, one of the schools he will be at is Michelle Obama. But where I think we could actually tap into your expertise is we heard the other parent talk about no one showing up for a parent advisory council. No one showing up for some other thing. So maybe we can pull all of that together, and I know you're with the early childhood, but do something to have more parent universities that we know are going to bring our parents in, because some of our parents, they're young and they don't know what to do. So thank you for calling us out on that, and I'm going to accept your challenge.
I know we're tired and ready to get out of here, but I wrestled a lot, real short and straight to the point. I'm Mr. Muhammad, as Mr. Pichon, and we've had the privilege of working in U City for 12 years in a row. And let me say this, we're talking about from the elementary school to the middle school to the high school for about 5 years of those 12 years. And my daughter is graduating next year, which means that she was at the beginning of it all. And so a lot of these young people that had the opportunity to take advantage of that program are doing good today. Now what I'm saying is an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of intervention. And everybody pretty much already said that. Last but not least, and I know we know this, but that just as a divine reminder, I'm gonna keep my little piece because this piece is equally important. Young people, human beings, I mean, all across the board, my hard-won experience, people don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care.
Yes.
Yes, one moment.
I just want to say that there will be a community resource fair for early childhood education on January 18th from 6 to 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
At Early Childhood Center.
Thank you. And just for all of our members in attendance again, we appreciate you staying here the long run with us. We're going to have 2 more comments, and then if you were unable to make a comment, we have some comment cards that were outside, and so I guess 3 more, and then anybody who's not up, if you're not on your feet now, there are some comment cards available. Our email addresses will be available, so you can definitely reach out to us.
Good evening. I just wanted to bring the teacher voice to the floor. Although I do not work for Riverview Gardens, I work for SSD. I am in this building on a daily. We have teachers that are here with no support. They're here. They come because if they don't come, no one else is coming in their place. No one else is here to help them or help us. We're here to help the students, but we feel like we are not getting help. We're not getting support. We're short-staffed. 7th and 8th grade, craziness, hallway, fights, everything. We do not feel that we are getting support. So I would, not that I have the authority to do this, but I invite parents, you got some time? Come up here, sit in the hallway, see what goes on. Anyone, if you're considering education, I know that the standards are different now to be a teacher. We need help. We aren't getting it. There has to be a solution because the teachers that we have here aren't staying. They're moving on. So we need support. We need help. We do not feel that that help is coming. We feel helpless, hopeless, sometimes useless. So, anyone, come help.
That's part of the reason we're here tonight, is to get help. Because
I just wanted to, you know.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We definitely appreciate the sacrifice of all of our staff members, especially our teachers. We've talked about staff shortages. We've recruited far and wide. I'm sure Ms. Monica Williams will tell you we've tried everything, but we do need help. We do need volunteers, we need parents, we need community members, And so we're going to continue to fight for that, and we're going to continue to fight for our teachers and our staff members because they're working their butts off.
Yes, they are.
Every single day, they're working their butts off, and we're definitely appreciative of that, and we're working hard to make your day-to-day easier, so thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Karan Bolden. Hey, Lena, can we give a round of applause for Lena? She just opened up an amazing. She got the council now on lock. I just had to give you that shameless plug. My name is Karan Bolden, and the teacher that just came up. Where's the teacher? Can we give her a round of applause? Louder, more energy. I want to tell you. Take this microphone off here. I'm getting excited. I want to tell you that I felt your pain. Come on, y'all, give us some energy up in here. I don't know if you gotta be in tune. You gotta be in tune. She's crying out. She's saying, somebody come in this room and come help me. She's over here in tears. We need you. So I want to acknowledge you publicly. Can you please stand up? Please, up in here. Somebody give a round of applause. Hey, listen. I know what you feel like, so I'm just want to connect with you really quick. I know what it feels like because I spoke to over 500,000 students across the country, and I felt like I was Superman at the time. And there was a point in time where I think I felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like I was losing, like I'm saving everybody else's family, but I'm losing my own. And so today, I want to acknowledge you and tell you that help is on the way because we are actually going to be working with you at the middle school. Our organization, it's called Bold Moves. We also have an organization that's called, a group that's 60 organizations that have come together. It's called the System of Care. And we're going to provide free mental health resources for every person, including the teachers. Amen. The parents is free. And also for the students. The one thing that I wanted to tell everybody, you can have a seat, I don't even want to put you on the spot, I'm sorry. I heard a lot of different things talked about today as far as like who's going to share the information and all that. I just want to let everybody know that help is on the way. It's not just our organizations, there's some great organizations. Hey brother, can you please stand up, Mr. Muhammad, can we please give a round of applause for this man? He also needs, I'm trying to get the energy up. I've seen this brother out in the community ever since I started, and I want to let you know that this community that we're in right now, Riverview School District, is about to go to another level. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't care what it looked like online, what the social media says. It is time to step up, and so today is the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to rejoice. We are going to be glad in it. Mental health and all the things that's coming to attack even our staff and our advisors is going to go away. So we got to lift the energy up in this room. Today is a new day in Riverview. I promise you, I'm not just talking either. I've traveled all across the country in all of these different schools, but after I sing today, I promise you myself, I will be in these schools every single week. I promise you, I will be in these schools bringing in resources that are free for you because I know the teachers like that over there is the reason that Riverview is standing strong today. And so I want to give a round of applause to everybody that's in this room, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
All the teachers and staff, and also the parents and all the children here. I'm a parent in this district. I'm also a part of a news media team. But one thing that I did see in the beginning, every time somebody special was mentioned, it was a woo! But as soon as we got to the teachers a little bit, as soon as we got to us parents and the kids, all I heard was this right here. Now, I love that, all that, because that is a bold move. But that's indicative of every day. We want to praise everybody up at the top. But when we get to the bottom, See, what I learned is the customer experience starts at the top. So what I want to know, for real, and I heard it, everybody has all these, great ideas and great notions. But what are we really doing to applaud these parents who have to battle in this district? What are we really doing to applaud these children who have to battle this district? Any one of you can move on tomorrow. Because I've seen the hands change. There ain't no 15, 20-year veterans up in here. Some of them are. Maybe, I'm not saying, I said some of them. Come on now, but I come from a school where in the last 5 years it was 3 principals. 15 teachers changed hands. It's not about the mental health, it's the stability of the district. So I just want to put this on y'all. We all are accountable because I don't see a lot of parents here. It's just a handful. But I just don't see enough applause for the parents who aren't here that need to get up out their seat. Because it's easy to come to me because I'm going to be there for my kids. Okay. This field starts right there. When I say I'm a hands-on father, I'm a hands-on father. I got to love the wife at the house. But I'm a hands-on father. But I don't think there's enough calls to us. Just emails. And I don't think an email suffices when you can check a student, you can expel them or suspend them, or just for instance. And again, I'm not going to make this personal, but I'm going to make it personal a little bit. My daughter got pushed down, hit her head yesterday, came home with a golf ball size knot on her head. Again, I'm an active parent, but I ain't getting no call. Last year, same daughter got pushed down. I had to raise up a little stink, but I'm not the parent, for real, to raise up stink because I know how hard it is for all of us to get in and out that building every day. But the transparency, like at the White House, is not there. At the Alder Thieves' house is not there. So I just want to know, how transparent will you be except for in these town halls?
So let me say this to you about that, and I'm going to stand up. Okay, because you heard, I don't know if you were here when this started.
Yes, ma'am.
And I said I am here because I choose to be here. Okay? So when we talking real, right?
Right.
I came out of retirement to come here because I believe in this district and the students we serve. So when you ask me about teachers, ask some of the teachers what I've tried to do since I've been here to let them know how much I appreciate them being here. This town hall is to get parents out because they haven't been. When I walked out, I said I was so pleased to see so many. This is our 3rd town hall since May. And every time we get a few more people. And that's how it starts. You have to begin to build. You start at the bottom and you build it up. Do we need some more measures of accountability? Absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. We sat here today and said we have this many suspensions. That doesn't happen in a lot of places. We sat here today and said we have weapons, we have fighting, we have all of these things happen. So talk about transparency. That's transparency. I have nothing to hide. Nothing. Because I'm a firm believer, and the staff will tell you, we can't go anywhere but up from here. We are about as low as we can get. Today's meeting was to ask our parents to come out and join us on this journey. But the reality is, you are a dedicated parent. You fight for your kid. And if we do something wrong, call us on it. I have no problem being called on the carpet if I do something wrong. None at all. None. Because in order to make something work, you have to. The people in this room, Mr. Bolden, Mr. Sultan, Mr. Mason, that's because I reached out and said we need help. I have no problem asking for help. But we need our community to join us in that help. So when you call me out, what I need for you to do for me is when we have our State of the District on January the 24th, I'm going to talk about where we are with regards to graduation rate, where we are with regards to our students matriculating now to college, I'm gonna put it out there. I need a packed house. Because until they know where we are, they don't know where we can go. And so I accept all that you have said about my district. I'm calling it my district. I accept all of that. What I'm gonna ask you to is accept my offer of you to come and join us on this journey. Do you accept my offer?
One last thing.
Okay.
I heard you keep saying I. That's the problem. Who holds your DNA? And I'm done.
Okay.
Because this
So let me tell you why I
You didn't
said
say we are here. We choose to be
we
here.
are. Well, let me
And I understand your point.
Okay. And I have said
But what I'm
that.
saying is, like, if I have two instances where my baby is not, that's not transparent. You can say that from right there, and I am.
Okay.
And this is the thing that a lot of us parents are trying to hold people accountable. But again, all we get is this.
At the end of the day, when I say I, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. As the superintendent, it stops with me. So when I hear you say we're not being accountable, then it's my job to follow up with why you're not getting calls that you should get. So when I say I, at the end of the day, it all ends up with me. So that's why I said I. The people in this room, I think, who work with me, know how much I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Because I said to them, if you're going to work with me, you're going to work hard in your work in your life, because that's what I'm going to give to you. So when I say I, that's I. That's not being self-serving. That's not making it all about me. But I accept my responsibility as the superintendent for Riverview Gardens. And so that's what I mean, and it falls on me. I'm accountable. Okay?
I will echo the claim that the buck stops with the superintendent. She holds us, the district leadership team, accountable. And one of the big goals for Riverview Gardens School District is to increase accountability. That's accountability for students, accountability for teachers, accountability for parents, and accountability for employees. So that's something the district has been lacking, but we are going to improve that in leaps and bounds. So
thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good evening.
Nice,